A very good afternoon to all the viewers joining us at the afternoon broadcast. To begin with the latest, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was accorded the decoration of the Grand Cross of the Order of Makarios III. The Grand Cross of the Order of Makarios III was instituted in the year 1981 by the then President of the Republic of Cyprus. The honour reflects the enduring India-Cyprus bilateral partnership and shares commitment to work together for the common vision for peace, progress and prosperity. Accepting the honour on behalf of 1.4 billion Indians, Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed his heartfelt gratitude to the President, the government and the people of Cyprus. He dedicated the award to the long-standing warm ties between India and Cyprus, which are being built on shared values and mutual trust.
यह सम्मान केवल मेरा नरेंद्र मोदी का सम्मान नहीं है, ये 140 करोड़ भारतवासियों का सम्मान है। उनके सामर्थ्य और आकांक्षाओं का ये सम्मान है। ये हमारे देश के सांस्कृतिक भाईचारे और वसुधैव कुटुंबकम की विचारधारा का सम्मान है। मैं ये अवार्ड भारत और साइप्रस के मैत्रीपूर्ण संबंधों को, हमारे साझा मूल्यों और हमारी पारस्परिक समझ को समर्पित करता हूं। सभी भारतीयों की ओर से मैं इस सम्मान को अत्यंत विनम्रता और कृतज्ञता से स्वीकार करता हूं।
Strengthening ties with a trusted partner, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was accorded a ceremonial reception at the Presidential Palace in Nicosia, Cyprus. Prime Minister was warmly received by the President of Cyprus. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also paid his respects to the first President of Cyprus, Archbishop Makarios III. After the ceremonial reception, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Cyprus President Nikos Christodoulides held talks at the Presidential Palace. They discussed various aspects of boosting India-Cyprus ties. Discussions also touched on several mutual and regional issues. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's historic visit will reaffirm the shared commitment of the two countries to deepen bilateral ties, as well as India's engagement with the Mediterranean and the European Union. Cyprus is set to assume the rotating presidency of the European Union Council in 2026. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also held delegation-level talks with the Cypriot President, focusing on enhancing cooperation in trade, technology, education and cultural exchange. And now to get you more on this, I am joined by Lead India correspondent Shubhendu Ghosh, straight from Cyprus. Good afternoon from India, Shubhendu. When we look at today's joint press statements, it holds a lot of promise, a lot of commitment and a lot of progress too. Take us through the main highlights of the joint presser that we just saw, Shubhendu.
Absolutely, Deepika. Lots to take in as far as the joint statements by the two leaders are concerned. Perhaps one should begin with the manner in which both the countries and Prime Minister put it in these words that democracy and respect for international laws and regulations forms the foundation, the pillars of the relations between India and Cyprus. As was expected, diverse areas in which the convergence, in which the cooperation is going to be taken forward. There is a roadmap that is being referred to, a roadmap for about 5 years, where the priorities, the strengths of both the nations can be in focus, particularly in the domain of trade and investment. We also saw that there is an expansion of cooperation in the domain of defense and security. Cutting-edge technology such as artificial intelligence is also in focus. In fact, if I could just refer to the business meet that took place yesterday, where leaders from the corporate world had engaged from both India and Cyprus. There's a great focus on artificial intelligence and the manner in which India is making important strides, and Cyprus and India could be very key partners in this domain. So in that sense, huge potential that is opened up with Prime Minister and President's interaction that happened today. Taking forward, also there is a way to push the people-to-people connect, the people-to-people ties between both the countries. What was also visible for everyone to see was the kind of bonhomie, the warmth that the two leaders shared for one another. We saw an example of it when President of Cyprus in person, which is rare, had reached the airport to receive Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And today when they spoke, they clearly spoke in one voice over the issue of terrorism, over the issue of territorial integrity, over the issue of sovereignty, and said that India and Cyprus stand together in issues of geopolitical, global and bilateral concerns. So a very positive, forward-looking and a meeting and statements that strengthen the already close ties between India and Cyprus. Deepika?
Shubhendu, they also talked about the FTA, India-European Union FTA, and the successful completion of this by the end of this year. And not only this, the India-Greece-Cyprus Business Council has also been created. Throw some light on these important aspects from business point of view.
That's right, Deepika. There's tremendous amount of optimism as far as boosting trade and its investment relations are concerned, not just between India and Cyprus, which is taking a good forward momentum, but we also have to see Cyprus, and Cyprus also looks at itself as a port of entry to Europe. India and EU negotiations and FTA, free trade agreement negotiations, are at an advanced stage. Prime Minister did mention that there are expectations of concluding it as early as this year. Now, Cyprus also is going to be taking over the presidency of the Council of European Union. That, in simple terms, means that India will have a great friend leading and steering the agenda as far as the European Union is concerned. And in that sense, there is a great degree of optimism about business relations, about business interactions, engagement between investment firms. Europe would want to access the huge India market. Indian talented workforce would want opportunities, want to expand their startups and businesses, and not just Cyprus, but through Cyprus to the world. And there is a very specific India-Cyprus-Greece Business Council that has also been taken up. We know the relations between Greece and Cyprus, they look at one another as like sister countries with a common Greek culture and background. And with India as a partner, there is a great degree of optimism in both these countries, Cyprus and Greece, that they could act like a gateway to Europe, and the progress that India has made in digital infrastructure, in particular in financial markets, in particular in digitizing the economy. Those are certain strengths that the world is looking at. In Cyprus and Greece, their businesses, their startups, the young talent could in fact have greater opportunity to come together and engage.
And also talking about on day 2, Prime Minister Narendra Modi being accorded with the highest honor by Cyprus's president. Isn't this a testament of how successful this visit has been so far for India and for Cyprus, both the countries?
Absolutely, Deepika. The most special moment was the honor that was accorded on Prime Minister. Remember, this is the highest honor that is accorded, named after the first president of Cyprus, Archbishop Makarios. So, in that sense, it also is a testimony of the manner in which Cyprus looks at India, Cyprus looks at Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership, the manner in which Prime Minister has been able to steer and also present India's perspective, India's stand on a lot of key issues very clearly. Cyprus in particular said that it appreciates the kind of support that India has provided on the question of territorial integrity and sovereignty. And I think those are very, very sensitive and special context where India's steadfast support has meant for Cyprus to see India as a close partner, and Prime Minister saying that the honor is for billions of Indians back home. And therefore, this honor also takes forward the close partnership between the leaders. We've seen the warmth that they share, but with the sharing of the honor, we also see that the expectations are also going to be higher now. The manner in which the two countries can work together, the bonhomie, the friendship, the close ties, and now the economic possibilities as have been enumerated today. There's a great degree of optimism for the roadmap that has been laid out.
All right. Thank you so much, Shubhendu, for joining us and bringing us the latest straight from Cyprus. And addressing the joint press meet, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that Cyprus and India share mutual respect for one another. After 2 decades, an Indian Prime Minister has visited Cyprus, and this is an opportunity to write a new chapter in the India-Cyprus partnership. Take a listen.
अपनी साझेदारी को स्ट्रेटेजिक दिशा देने के लिए हम अगले 5 वर्षों के लिए एक ठोस रोड मैप बनाएंगे। रक्षा और सहयोग को और मजबूती देने के लिए द्विपक्षीय डिफेंस कोऑपरेशन प्रोग्राम के तहत रक्षा उद्योग पर बल दिया जाएगा। साइबर और मैरीटाइम सिक्योरिटी पर अलग से डायलॉग शुरू किया जाएगा। क्रॉस बॉर्डर टेररिज्म के विरुद्ध भारत की लड़ाई में साइप्रस के सतत समर्थन के लिए
And in the same joint press statement, Cyprus President extended his condolences on the recent Air India plane crash. Cyprus President Nikos Christodoulides said that both the nations have historic friendship. The relations between Cyprus and India are based on shared historic experience and values.
आज हमने इस बात पे चर्चा की कि हम आपस में अपने व्यावसायिक और आर्थिक सहयोग को कैसे आगे बढ़ा सकते हैं। कुछ साइप्रस के लिए भी लाभदायक होंगे जो कि हम दे सकते हैं। हमारी एक जियो स्ट्रेटेजिक लोकेशन है जिसकी वजह से हम ईयू के जो बाजार है उसके प्रवेश द्वार के रूप में काम कर सकते हैं।
हमने अपने द्विपक्षीय सहयोग को बढ़ाने के बारे में भी बात करी और कई विभिन्न मुद्दों पर सिनर्जी के बारे में, रक्षा सहयोग, संकट प्रबंधन, पर्यटन और नवाचार और आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस के क्षेत्र में भी काम करना चाहते हैं और हम सहमत हुए इन सभी क्षेत्रों में एक साथ मिलकर काम करने ताकि हम विशिष्ट परिणाम दे सकें।
We're heading for a short break, but still to come on the other side. More details on Utah shooting that took place during the West Fest. French President Emmanuel Macron warns that Greenland is not to be sold nor to be taken.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Johar. अरे it fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India Live. Well, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar held a telephonic conversation with his UAE counterpart, Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan, on Monday and discussed the current situation in West Asia and the role of diplomacy. Dr. S. Jaishankar stated that he and Abdul bin Zayed agreed to remain in touch. Dr. S. Jaishankar also spoke with Foreign Affairs Minister of Armenia, Ararat Mirzoyan. Both the leaders discussed ongoing developments in the region and close cooperation. Now, conflict escalates in West Asia, with Israel and Iran keep attacking each other with missile strike. Iranian missiles have struck Israeli cities of Tel Aviv and Haifa on Monday, destroying homes and killing several people. Meanwhile, the conflict fueled concerns among global leaders as they meet for the G7 summit in Canada. TD India's Abhishek Post brings us more details in the next report. Take a look.
The visuals you see on your screen are from a major oil refinery in Israel's port city of Haifa. Thick smoke rose from the plant after Iranian missiles hit it before dawn. Iran launched attacks on both Tel Aviv and Haifa overnight, killing several people. This happened a day after Israel attacked major oil depots and gas fields in Iran. Meanwhile, the Israel Defense Forces hit command centers linked to Iran's Quds Force. Israel says these centers are used by Iran to attack Israel through its proxies. Israel's strikes, which began Friday, have targeted Iranian nuclear and military sites, killing top Iranian commanders and nuclear scientists. Both sides have continued their attacks since then. Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian warned that Iran will respond even more strongly if the attacks continue.
Israel knows no boundaries. They intrude wherever they want with permission from America. We will give a powerful response to any aggression they may commit.
Israel sees Iran's nuclear program as a direct threat. These attacks aim to stop Iran from making nuclear programs. But Iran says its nuclear work is peaceful and denies any nuclear weapons ambitions. Global attention has turned to West Asia at a time when world leaders are meeting for G7 summit in Canada. US President Donald Trump said that he hopes Israel and Iran can broker a deal.
Well, I hope there's going to be a deal. I think it's time for a deal, and we'll see what happens. But sometimes they have to fight it out, but we're going to see what happens. I think there's a good chance there'll be a deal.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said Israel has the right to defend itself, but stressed that a diplomatic solution is the best way to solve the issue in the long run.
Israel has the right to defend itself. Iran is the principal source of regional instability, and we've always been very clear. Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. We have voiced our strong concerns over Iran's nuclear and ballistic missile program. A diplomatic solution remains the best way in the long run to address concerns about Iran's nuclear program.
This conflict is disrupting the global oil market and raising fears of a wider regional war, which could threaten the global economy. Abhishek Bose for DD India.
US President Donald Trump landed in Calgary, Canada on Sunday, setting the stage for a high-stakes G7 summit in the Canadian Rockies. While the formal agenda spans global economic stability, climate and geopolitical security, much of the behind-the-scenes energy appears focused on damage control, particularly from allies hoping to persuade Donald Trump to reverse or at least ease his hardline stance on tariffs. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, also in Calgary, confirmed she had a good phone call with Trump ahead of the summit. Yet, in a signal of Europe's cautious optimism, she revealed that the European Union was preparing contingencies in case of talks with Washington collapse. Among other early arrivals are British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, French President Emmanuel Macron and Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. French President Emmanuel Macron warned that Greenland is not to be sold nor to be taken during his official visit to the autonomous Danish territory coveted by President Donald Trump. Macron visited a Danish military frigate and surveyed the impact of climate change on a Greenlandic glacier with scientists from a climate research center. Macron strongly opposed Donald Trump's idea of taking over Greenland. In a press conference alongside Denmark's Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen and Greenland's Prime Minister Jens Frederik Nielsen, Macron said the island was threatened by predatory ambition and that its situation was a wake-up call for all the Europeans. Moving on, in the United States, 3 people were killed during Utah's Fest on Sunday. The police said that 3 killed included an 18-year-old man, a 41-year-old woman, and an 8-month-old infant. Authorities reported that 2 groups held an argument, and when the police approached them, a 16-year-old fired a gun. The suspect has been taken into custody. The West Fest is an annual celebration commemorating the establishment of West Valley City and recognizing the various cultures represented throughout the city. Let's take a look at other stories making news around the world in brief. Australian court begins trials of Erin Peterson, accused for killing 3 elderly relatives of her estranged husband with a poisoned mushroom meal. The prosecution accuses her of foraging for the death caps before drying them and knowingly serving them in individual portions of beef Wellington at her home, while Peterson denies the charges, which carry a life sentence, with her defence calling the death a terrible accident. Thousands of Colombians participated in the Great Silent March to protest against the wave of violence in the country. The recent armed attack on Miguel Turbe, who had presidential aspirations, sparked solidarity across political and civil society sectors. Miami's coastline turns into Boca Beach as thousands of junior fans gathered to celebrate team's Club World Cup opener. Fans made their way from downtown Miami to join the seaside celebrations. The juniors is to face Portuguese side Benfica at the Hard Rock Stadium in their opening encounter. And that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download it right now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Deepika, and from all of us here in New Delhi, thank you so much for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.